I want to talk to you about the giants in your life, that giant-sized challenge you're facing in your life. The challenges in your life say something about your future, say something about your destiny. Do you know we all face giants in life, but only a few kill giants. David and his brothers and the whole Israelites faced a giant by name Goliath, but only David killed Goliath. And God wants us to be a giant killer today. See, if you're facing a giant, it means you have a giant-sized life ahead of you. God won't put you before a giant unless and until if you're not ready to face a giant. The size of your enemy determines the size of your destiny. The giant you face now will become bookmarks in your life's story. Several years later, you can go back to this chapter in your life and remember your greatest victory. Just like David's greatest victory with Goliath. Abraham Lincoln once said, we can complain about rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice that thorn bushes have roses. The Israelites looked at Goliath and said, he's too big to hit. And David looked at Goliath and said, he's too big to miss. It's your giant that defines you. It's the battle that you're facing that defines your future, your destiny. If there was no Goliath, David wouldn't have made it to the palace. If there was no Potiphar's wife, Joseph wouldn't have made it to the palace. God wants us to become a giant killer. And how do you become a giant killer? By taking small steps of obedience and trusting God. Zig Ziglar once said, there is no giant step that does it. It's all a lot of small steps. From being a shepherd boy, David became a giant killer in less than 24 hours. All he did was he obeyed his father, and he did small things, small acts of obedience. He got up early in the morning and traveled almost 15 miles on his foot and reached his brother just in time to see a giant named Goliath. He was not lazy, he didn't sleep on the way, otherwise he would have completely missed seeing Goliath. It was one small act of obedience to his father, but a giant leap in David's life. It was an ordinary morning for David. He was just being obedient, he was being sincere. And he did things without complaining. He had reasons to complain because his father abandoned him, ignored him, and asked him to take care of the sheep while all his brothers are serving in the battlefield. Now his father wants him to be a lunch delivery boy. He had more reasons to complain and grumble. He could have rebelled against his father. He could have disobeyed his father. But David understood that greatness is one giant leap, but it often comes through small steps of obedience, small acts. And David didn't have a mega strategy when he faced Goliath. He selected 5 smooth stones. See, again, small things, but big impact through those small stones. It's often that small pebble you pick along that shore, small acts, small things that will kill the giant. Don't wait for big opportunities or big strategy, but take small steps and put your trust in God. And when he was in the battlefield, he said the right thing. He said, who's this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? And someone overheard it and reported it to King Saul. Don't keep saying negative things when you're facing a giant. Don't say, it's impossible, he's too big, I'm not going to make it. You don't know who's hearing your conversation. Small things and small steps. But God blessed it, and it became a giant leap for David. God wants us to take small steps and put it in His hands. Trust Him, and God will make it a giant leap in your life. God said to Moses and the Israelites, I'm making a covenant with you. Before all your people, I will do wonders never before done in any nation in all the world. The people you live among will see how awesome is the work that I, the Lord, will do for you. It's a great promise. But God gave one command. If you read the verses further, God said, obey what I command you today. I will drive out before you the Amorites, Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, all these nations that terrify you. See, all these nations were giants to Israelites. They terrified Israelites. God said to Israelites, I will drive out these nations. Obey what I command you today. You might be facing a giant today. You may seem very small and insignificant before the giant. But God is saying, I will take care of your giants. I want you to obey my word. I want you to put your trust in me and take that small steps of obedience. Be sincere and obey whatever God is telling to obey through His word. Be truthful to God. God wants you to take that small step of obedience, and God will defeat the giant in your life. If your relationship is a mess, God is saying, I will take care of the giants. I will restore your relationship. If your career is a mess, if you're facing a giant, God is saying, I will defeat the giant in your life. I will restore it. Obey what I command you today. In every area of your life, God wants us to obey His word and put our trust in Him and take small steps of obedience, small acts by putting trust in God. And God will make us a giant killer. I hope that's an encouragement for you. Thanks for watching, and God bless.